channel 나와서처럼 유명한 인싸가 됐어.
What is good, y'all? This is JV here, and it's the end of the year, so y'all know what that means. It's the year where we start listing, putting together my top hip-hop projects of the year. And I just did a video for my top K-hip-hop albums of this year. Check that out if that's something you're into, Korean hip-hop. And now we're doing my favorite American hip-hop releases of this year. Really excited about doing this. And again, this is just my personal favorite top 10. These are the albums that I was listening to the most, that I enjoyed the most. So this is by no way saying that this album's better than this album or anything. So I'm not going to do it in any particular order. I'm not counting down to my favorite album. I'm kind of just giving you guys some of my favorite projects this year and some of the stuff that I was listening to. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's just get started, get it out of the way before, you know, we waste any more time. Obviously, I'm pretty much everybody's top 10 this year. Kendrick Lamar's The Pimp a Butterfly. Let's just start out with that. Absolutely 10, 10 of an album. His incorporation of neo soul and jazz elements into his hip hop music is just unrivaled. It's so amazing. My favorite song is definitely Wesley's Theory for sure, the opening it up, but some great songs, Institutionalized, All Right, These Walls. The track listing goes on. Blacker the Berry to me is a close second. Blacker the Berry I was definitely bumping before the album was even out because he released it kind of as a little single thing, some audio on YouTube. And it's such a gritty, hard commentary on race relations in America. And I just thought it was an absolutely fantastic track. And there's not much more to say about To Pimp a Butterfly. If you haven't heard it this far, you're slipping. And I think it's one of the most, if not the most, important project of 2015, period, transcending all genres. Y'all know I listen to a lot of music, a lot of different genres, and I think To Pimp a Butterfly kind of speaks to the climate of America right now. It speaks to the climate of the youth, of especially black youth, of the state of modern hip-hop. There's so much commentary on that beyond just the social structure, but musically and in all different facets, that I think it's very important that everybody listen to this. And I feel like it has a lot to appeal to an older generation of hip-hop heads, a younger generation of hip-hop heads. People who like turn-up charts will have their songs like All Right that I really do think bump really hard. It's kind of like this one's Mad City, if you will. And so I think it's a very important album that we listen to it. So check it out if you haven't thus far, Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. And next, we have an album that I feel like got overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of people might not know about this album, but I kind of caught wind of it by his feature on the Donny Trumpet album Surf that we'll get to later. And it's Smyle by Kyle. I adore this album. To me, this is the ideal vibe out album. Some great songs on it. Shout out to Kyle, man, doing his thing on LA, on the West Coast there. He definitely has in my opinion, kind of like a Chance the Rapper meets kind of like the melodies of a Drake with some rapping styles of Vic Mensa. Like there's a lot of influences there, and I think definitely some, I see Gold Link, Kyle, Chance the Rapper, Vic Mensa, they all kind of have a particular kind of jazzy style to it and kind of like a melodic approach to their rapping style. So I'm really into that kind of rapping style. So this album is just another one of those. We got The Force, which is a super melodic approach, great bars on it. Don't Want to Fall in Love, which has a great sample on it of a song that I caught wind of via GTA 5, so that was really interesting. We got Really Yeah, which to me is the banger of this album. We got Remember Me with Chance the Rapper. Excellent chemistry between the two MCs. Super Duper Hero. All For You featuring Younge, who I believe is a Malaysian singer. So shout out to her. She did some great stuff on there. At Found Bay with Jesse on it. The cool thing about this album is that it has its rap influence, R&B influences, it comes together. It has some pop appeal to it, definitely, in terms of the samples are concerned. And then it has some kind of cool anime-ish Japanese interludes in between of it and cuts that add an added level of depth and almost nerdiness to it. To me, this album is so me because I feel like a lot of what Kyle obviously is in touch with some Japanese culture, as am I. He loves rap, he loves R&B, he flips a lot of 90s-ish kind of samples. I'm a big 90s head, so I feel like this is an album for people like me who are younger people who have an admiration for different facets of worldwide kind of music and have an appreciation for 90s, music too. So Kyle Smyle is an absolutely fantastic album. I would highly suggest it. No skippables, period, in my opinion. I put it in my car countless times and I've just listened to it in its entirety, taking walks and stuff like that, and I think it's just an absolutely fantastic album. So please check it out if you haven't thus far. You're slipping if you haven't heard it. And next we have the album that was most awaited out of TDE, in my opinion, for me, who I was waiting for. It's my entry point to TDE. It's J-Rock with his album 90059. Just listened to it yesterday. That's how often I listen to this album. I have it on regular rotation. It's the iconic West Coast album this year, with the exception for, like, maybe you can make an argument for Documentary 2 or Compton. Yo, 90059 is a masterpiece, and I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on it, especially because a lot of hype got caught up into Pimp a Butterfly. And I for some reason, some people felt underwhelmed by this album. I thought this album was fantastic. Let's get started. Necessary, the intro, Easy Bake with Kendrick Lamar and SZA on the end there with her vocals, just ooh, I'm not a singer, but don't get me started. Isaiah Rashad on Wanna Ride. Okay, obviously you can see a heavy TDE presence on this. The Ways, that club banger with like kind of like a sultriness kind of to it. Telegram going crazy. 90059, that's a zip right there. You got Vice City with Black Hippie, the wildest flow on it. Like, oh my god. Fly on the Wall with Busta Rhymes. Great to see, Busta Rhymes really doing his thing. Lance Skywalker on Money Trees Deuce, which Money Trees was basically one of my favorite songs on Good Kid, Mad City, so really excited to see that. And then finishing off with The Message. So in my opinion, a banger from start to finish. No skippable tracks. J-Rock really held his own. To me, he's my favorite member of TDE, period. I just love that gritty kind of street vibe that he has to his music. Yet he introduced like a sense of melody for this one, and he was my entry point. He was the first person I kind of got turned on to out of TDE, and I learned about everyone else after. So I'm really glad to finally see him back, and definitely getting some mainstream looks for the finally, you know what I mean? I think his music has a lot to offer the mainstream, and I think his music is very important to the dynamic of TDE, because I don't think anybody's necessarily doing the music he does. Schoolboy Q can definitely do those kind of like party records. You got Kendrick Lamar with more conscious music. You got Ab-Soul with the kind of spiritual, introspective kind of tracks. You got SZA with the vocals. Isaiah Rashad, blending the hip hop, singing kind of genre. And then you got J-Rock doing his thing with that street, gritty, hard-hitting feel. Repping that West Coast hard. To me, he's the most West Coast out of all of them. And I just absolutely loved this album. If I have to say, this is probably one of my favorite projects of the year, period. So, man, absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, you're slipping. It's an absolutely fantastic album. And now we got one of my favorite records of the year, Czarface, Every Hero Needs a Villain. This guy you can expect the highest caliber of musicianship for. You got the dude Inspector Deck of Wu-Tang Clan, with his, some collaborative efforts with some producers and stuff like that. And we got Czarface back with their second release, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, I think this is like 2 years after their first release. I think the first release was 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 2014, I don't know. But we got Czarface this time, and this album is fantastic. It's gritty, it's street, it's blending those comic book hip-hop elements, which has been a long-standing thing that a lot of MCs have done, doing the whole superhero thing. Definitely, MF Doom has had that kind of, style. So let's go through the track listing here and some of the features we got. We got Method Man, of course. Large Professor, love that guy. Juju of the Beanuts. We got Jizza on When Gods Go Mad. You gotta have that Wu-Tang, there. MF Doom, Kabang, pretty much my favorite song on the album. Mayhem Loren, we got Zarkum Asylum, or Escape from Zarkum Asylum, that's what I meant. Great track. And then we got R.A. the Rugged Man. So some great features on this. But definitely, yeah, that Doom song, Kabang, the dynamic between Inspector Deck and MF Doom is something that, like, it's a hip-hop head's dream for sure. Like, this album is just absolutely fantastic. It's a banger from start to finish. It's fine-tuned. You could tell, like, these are guys who have mastered their craft. These aren't guys trying to find their sound still. These aren't guys experimenting. These are guys who have had years in the game, solidifying their sound, practicing their craft, and have their deliveries, their flow, their verbiage, their topics, their beat selection basically mastered, and this is a masterpiece in and of itself. I felt like it got overlooked by a lot of mainstream, hip-hop outlets just because of the nature. These are older dudes, these are Wu-Tang Clan. It's kind of like played out to a lot of people, but I think Czarface breathed new life into that particular genre, along with some of Ghostface Killah's contributions this year. So yeah, shout out to Czarface, man, absolutely fantastic album. And next we got my favorite album of the year, period, bar none, nothing comes in front of it, and it's Donny Trumpet and the Social Experiment's Surf. Now, a lot of people would maybe argue, is this hip-hop? Because there's definitely brass, jazz, neo-soul elements to this, but to me this is one of the most hip-hop albums this year. The blending of genres, the sampling, the flipping of live instrumentation, how more hip-hop can you get? So let's go through the track listing of this. I mean, obviously you got the heavy Chance the Rapper influence, this isn't a Chance album though. We got BJ the Chicago Kid, Busta Rhymes, B.O.B., J. Cole, Big Sean, Jeremiah, Kyle, Rory, Dram, the Cha-Cha song. You got Quavo from Migos, King Louis, Erykah Badu, Eric Butler. So I mean, like, how better of an album can you get? Talk about a track listing of heavy hitters. I mean, every song on this has a different vibe. Every song, every artist on this brings their own style, and everybody melds so well. And talk about the instrumentation. Y'all know I'm a sucker for some live instrumentation, and I thought they did a fantastic job on that. I think there was some great, obviously, the brass elements from the Social Experiment. Donny Trumpet on the trumpet, killing it. Chance the Rapper with his jazzy vocals and the melodic approach that he's always had, along with some of his contemporaries that I think really kind of just solidified this as an experience. This is not, to me, just an album where I hear track to track. When I put this on, this is an experience. I'm instantly brought into warm feelings and sun, and this was a very important album for me in my life just because of timing, that I think this really impacted me on an emotional level just because of some of the vibes, the positivity coming out of this album impacted me for sure. So Donny Trumpet, man, Surf. I tweeted him out. I was like, yo, your album is so important, and it got me do some important stuff. So yo, shout out to him. Absolutely fantastic album. Please, I cannot emphasize enough, please check out this album. Next, we have an album that came out really recently, really, late into the year, basically coming out, and it's the prelude to his third album. We got Pusha T's King Push, Darkest Before Dawn, the Prelude. Fantastic album. I did, give you guys a little bit of background on it when I first bought the album, and I did listen to it, and I did tell you guys that I was a little nervous, about the follow-up, because I really loved My Name Is My Name, some great songs, number on the board, and I was like, I don't know if he could match that. I don't know what direction he got. And then when he started doing some interviews, he was saying, I'm going for a darker direction. This is gonna be dark. A dark album. And then he released the visuals that I watched, a little mini movie, a little short that he released. Absolutely fantastic. I had this added level of dark religious kind of theme to it. And then we have the songs Untouchable, MFTR, Crutches Crosses Castus, Money Pussy Alcohol with Kanye West, A$AP Rocky, and The Dream. So I mean, we're talking about some heavy hitters on this album, and this is a masterpiece from beginning to end. To me, this is a nice, short, concise project, 10 tracks long. I wouldn't want to change that in the world. I would like no further songs, no more, no less. I'm glad that it's just a short 10 songs, everything, no skippables, banger from start to finish. The only thing, I'm not a fan actually of The Dream's contribution on MFTR. I believe that's him singing. I don't really like his vocals on it, but other than that, fantastic song. Love the overall vibe of the hook and the melodies. It's just the way his voice is, I didn't like. Untouchable, man, that Timbo, flip on that big sample, my god. Untouchable, uncrushable, my god. Crutches Crosses Caskets, shout out to Puff Daddy on the production. Absolutely fantastic, really unconventional kind of beat to it, but you can definitely tell that's those Puff drums for sure. Money Pussy Alcohol, Kanye West, A$AP Rocky, The Dream. Only complaint with that song is they're singing unison on the chorus there, which is pretty interesting. I would have preferred, I would like some verses from them, in my opinion. But I mean, hey, if it's either a little bit of Kanye or no Kanye, I'll choose a little bit of Kanye. Got him covered with Ab Leva on that really gritty, guttural, hard-hitting verse from Ab Leva. Shout out to him. fantastic. Beanie Siegel pulling him out of the depths. I was like, really? Beanie? Wow. And he killed his verse, man. That was really refreshing to see. Kalani on Retribution. I enjoyed her vocal, stylings on that. A little underwhelming, personally. I just finished listening to her album a couple weeks ago, so I was in Kalani mode when I was like, yo, Kalani's on Pusha T's album, I can't wait. And it was just a little, lackadaisical, she was kind of just singing, doing her thing. And I was like, I know you're a better vocalist than that, Kalani. So if any complaints there, I would suggest, or I would have wanted her to, go a little bit out. But maybe, who knows, maybe that was just Pusha wanting her to do a little something. FIFA, fantastic song. And then Sunshine, ending it off with Jill Scott, her vocals, oh my god, talk about like heart and soul. She brought like an added level of depth into this album that just rocked me to my core, and I was like, that was perfect, man. I listened to this album is phenomenal, man. A close second behind Donny Trumpet in terms of my personal favorite albums of this year. Please check it out. And next we got the album that dropped at the top of the year, Joey Badass's Before the Money. Great album, man. Long awaited, been watching this guy since the early days, like Survival Tactics, pretty much. And he dropped some singles like Get Paid and stuff like that. Christ Conscious, which is basically my favorite instrumental this year. Like, and it's also my background music for this video. Yeah, like that. Like that 90s feel to it. Fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Paper Trail, Save the Children, Peace of Mind, Big Dusty, Haze's View, like the list goes on and on. Let's go through the features. We got Chronics on here, on Belly of the Beast, number 99. Talk about a 90s song, my god. BJ the Chicago Kid, goes without saying. You got Rory on Escape 120 with a really like, how would I describe it? Like an Andre 3000-esque kind of verse at the end there. Really, speedy chopper flow almost. Like, we got Action Bronson and El Varner on Run Up On You, and then Kaiser on Teach Me, which was kind of pushed as a single. Really, I didn't like that song as a single. Teach Me, on the context of like the record, it's fine. As a single, I was like, really? You're gonna play Teach Me How to Dance on the radio over Christ Conscious, over number 99, over Big Dusty? Nah, get out of here. You're wilding on that one. And I don't really blame Joey so much as I probably blame whoever, probably the record company who put that forward, or the stations who always look for this like really, I don't know, they like their melodic stuff, but like when you got these hard-hitting, gritty songs, why, like those are the ones that bang in my opinion. Christ Conscious, forget it, like that goes on the radio in my opinion, it should at least. Motherfucking microphone checker. Oh man, this guy, his bars are on a different level. Shout out to Joey Badass. I always love his music. So check out this album, Before the Money. Great album. We got Earl Sweatshirt with his newest album. I Don't Like Shit. I Don't Go Outside. And I'm gonna like incorporate Solace because he released it a little bit after. So I'll incorporate Solace into this too. Maybe I'm cheating. I don't know. Fantastic album. Really small feature list on here. We got Dash, Wiki, Nikel, his boy, and then Vince Staples on Wool. So really concise album, really coming into his own. Really dark, you could tell, really depressing. Definitely tell that he was going through some emotional stuff, kind of venting out at certain points, venting the angers, kind of talking about some of the anguish that was going on in his life. So really impactful album. And I feel like, by his interviews, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily in this place anymore. But some of the songs, I mean, Grief. Ooh, if you haven't seen the music video for that, watch that. Like the effects on that kind of like in negative shot, it's so dark, and like it bangs too when he performs it. We got Mantra, Faucet, Off Top. Off Top, we got a little, some visuals to it. Fantastic. And the DNA, if you hear the backstory and DNA, the fact that Nikel just heard that his boy died, and so you could hear the pain in his verse. Oh my god. You got Dash, you know, of ASAP doing this thing over there. Grown Ups. So great contributions. Every feature was used perfectly. Solace, an absolutely amazing experience from start to finish. Some really interesting, you know, instrumental arrangements on that. And then it's a concise 10 tracks. Just like I like it. I prefer a concise album that's fine-tuned than a monster of 18 tracks that's like, this is boring as shit. So shout out to Earl Sweatshirt, man. He absolutely killed this one. And now we got finally some West Coast music. We got The Game with his Documentary 2. And when I say the Documentary 2, I am counting the entire experience, Documentary 2 and 2.5, the double album. You already know I kind of gave a review on my JV's Jams of this album, so I don't have to go too into depth into it. The fact that I did prefer Documentary 2, the first part, over 2.5. You know, incredible feature list on this. You know, the Game's always been really heavy on, you know, his features and showing love to the artists that he loves the most. I know he's coming up with a project that's actually 0 features from what I hear relatively soon, so I'm excited for that. But let's just go over some of the things. We got On It with Kendrick Lamar really early on the record, right after the intro. Absolutely fantastic. You got Step Up with Dej Loaf. Really surprising, but I actually appreciated her contribution on that. Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and Will.i.am. Really excited to see Will.i.am back on some gritty hip-hop West Coast shit. Puff Daddy, Absol, Marcus Black, Jelly Roll, Q-Tip, Eric Bellinger, and Shasha on Circles. I'm a huge Q-Tip fan, so hearing that was fantastic. You got Future on here, Kanye West on Moolah, 100 featuring Drake, which is one of my favorite American hip-hop songs out this year. Snoop Dogg, Will.i.am, and Fergie. That was pretty interesting, kind of pulled Fergie out of nowhere, so on LA. Great contribution on that. If you wouldn't have told me that was Fergie, though, I wouldn't have guessed, to be honest. Anderson .Paak on Magnus Carlsen, J-Rock and Schoolboy Q on Gangbang. Now talk about a gritty West Coast sound, and he couldn't have chose 2 better MCs to rep that right now out of these young guys. The Ghetto featuring Nas and Will.i.am. Surprising. I'm always been a fan of Nas. I'm always gonna love a Nas verse. Not the most outstanding verse I've heard from him. Scarface, 7th Streeter, DJ Quick. Yo, Quick's groove, that was really interesting to me. Did not sound anything like how I thought it was gonna sound as far as it being a Quick's groove. But we got E40, you got Ty Dolla $ign Problem and YG. Let's see, King Mez, who I kind of got turned on to on the Compton soundtrack. And then Busta Rhymes on Like Father Like Son 2. And then one of the ones I've had the most into in rotation because I'm a dirty casual is El Chapo, you know, the Skrillex production. Skrillex has been really killing it in the production. One of the things I would notably do that I did on JV's Jams is definitely Big Boy's project that he put out not too long ago. And Skrillex produced a song on that I thought was absolutely fantastic too. So, yo, The Game put together an amazing project on here. And a lot of people have said it time and time again. If he took some of the best songs from part 1 and 2 and put it together, he could have had a truly classic album, in my opinion. But for a, what is it, like 18 and 18 or 17 and 17? Something like 18 and 18. Like for like a 30-something, almost 40-song project, he did an absolutely fantastic job. So shout out to Game, man. We got, you know, Trapper Game, we got Lyrical Game, we got Conscious Game on here, we got some Gangbanger Gang. Man, we got everything I could possibly want as a Game fan. And as a fan who loved Documentary 1, I felt satisfied with this sequel. So I went into further depth, I think, on the albums on my JV's Jams. So check those out if you want to really see me go into depth on it. But yo, fantastic album. And lastly, we got one of my favorite albums this year, one of the ones that I vibe out all the time to. We got Travis Scott's Rodeo. Man, I can't tell you how long I was bumping days before Rodeo, so when Rodeo finally came, I was like, oh my god, I do not know what to expect. I don't know if we're gonna get upper echelon. We had the single 3500, so are we going in that direction? And this album is absolutely fantastic. There's moments where it feels like a really clean... This album sounds like a clean version sometimes of moments where I felt like Yeezus was trying to go and did not accomplish. I felt like was accomplished on here. Let's go through some of the tracks. We got Pornography off the rip. Fantastic. On this side with that Quavo feature. I'm not really feeling Quavo, man. At first I was like, oh, you put a Migos guy on the track because he's hot right now. But I'm actually really feeling what Quavo's been doing. 3500 with featuring 2 Chainz. Wasted with Juicy J. 90210. We got The Weeknd on Pray for Love. And really interesting, warped, like, ethereal vocals from The Weeknd that I actually really like. Nightcrawler with Sway Lee and Chief Keef, which I was so like, oh no. you're not taking the Ray Shrummer Kid and Chief Keef on a song, and surprisingly, it worked out. Piss on Your Grave with Kanye West, it sounded exactly how I would think a Travis Scott and Kanye West song. Like gritty, weird, in your face, crazy drums, screaming. So yeah, we got Antidote, the one of the anthems of the year. Impossible, Maria I'm Drunk with Justin Bieber and Young Thug. Unlikely combo, but a successful combo nonetheless. Toro and Moi on Flying High, I Can Tell Apple Pie. Okay Alright with Schoolboy Q, which that Schoolboy Q feature is so good. It's the exact Schoolboy Q that I wanted. And then we got Never Catch Me. It's a little bulky at a 16-track album, but it's so good. I cannot rave about this album enough. And to me, if you want to go mainstream rap, this is the album that I would suggest if you want to talk about mainstream rap albums as opposed to some of the more obscure albums that I've been talking about. And let's wrap it up because my camera's dying. Some notable mentions, we got Wale's album About Nothing. Shout out to Wale, man. Didn't make the top 10, but I really did feel this album, you know. Shout out to him. We got Tyler Creator's Cherry Bomb. Almost made the top 10, but I just felt like there's some better projects out there. Really enjoyed this. Have that in regular rotation. His best project by far, in my opinion. Big Sean's Dark Sky Paradise, and then the Ghostface, Killah, and Adrian Younge collaborative album. So some great albums out this year. I thought this was a great year in hip hop, and I'm really curious as to what was in your top 10. So in the comment section below, let me know what's in your top 10 in hip hop. What did you think I missed out on? And let me know what's up. Till next time, this is JV. I love you guys.